Welcome to Fear Babes Podcast, a paranormal podcast founded and hosted by Fear fan members.
All thoughts and opinions are strictly our own, and we are not affiliated with any shows in any way.
My name is Burgundy.
My name is Madeline.
And we are...
the Fear Babes. Thing works.
Ooh, okay. Recording started.
Oh my gosh. So cool.
See it. I can see it at the top.
Oh my gosh. Welcome back to Fear Babes Podcast.
Fear Babes Podcast.
The podcast where we are really dumb.
The Babes of Fear.
The Babes of Fear. Wow. That is beautiful. Oh my gosh. This is our last episode of 2024.
That's weird.
Very strange. This has been a pretty big year for us, I feel like.
It has. It's been a wild year. Did you have a good Christmas?
I had a great Christmas. Did you?
I did indeed.
Yeah, Christmas is... I feel like Christmas is always so chaotic, but this year it also felt like it was never ending, but I feel like there were a lot of big life changes on my part. Yeah. So there was just, so much happening.
Yeah.
Because we went to the Trans-Siberian Orchestra. We saw the Nutcracker. We went to the mountains, saw snow twice. It was just a bunch of Christmas stuff.
See, that's what gets me is you saw snow for Christmas. I did not.
Well, I will say, let me preface that, is that it definitely wasn't here. It was the mountains for sure. But yeah, I saw snow, which is crazy that I saw it and you didn't.
I'm dreaming of a white Christmas. But I didn't get one, so.
Not this year.
I don't actually, we usually don't.
What?
Yeah, it's like December for Wyoming is usually where like the wind kicks in and it's usually dry and windy. We don't really get snow until like February, March, usually. Because so it's like December's always dry and windy. January we always get like sub-zero temps. February and March is when the snow comes.
Yeah, we definitely, I think personally, and I could be wrong, it's been a very cold fall/winter here. So like here at home. So I think that we might be getting snow in January or February. I'm not sure, but I think that is going to happen. I had to re-add you back to the stage.
Yeah, they got kicked out.
Oh, fuck. It's all right. At least it, continues relatively quickly.
Yeah, so for people who are listening, the normal platform we use to record our podcasts is going away for eternity. So, and we just found out today, on the 28th of December, because I had to email them a very strongly worded message and ask for a fucking refund since their platform hasn't worked all month. And they decided to be like, oh yeah, by the way, we're disappearing forever on the 31st. So, that's great.
It's like, great. Thanks for letting us know.
Yeah, thanks for telling us. We only use your platform every fucking week, but that's fine. So, here we are on a new platform that keeps kicking us out of the call.
And we don't know why.
And the last 2 weeks we used a different platform, so we're just going to keep jumping around until we find one that we like, I guess.
Yeah, I guess that's just how it's going to be. But, that's for us to worry about and for you guys to just enjoy the recording.
Right along with us. Let us know how the quality of each episode is, and maybe that'll help us determine which platform to use.
Yeah.
Or the price. The price might make a difference too, but that's neither here nor there.
Very true. Very true. Well, shall we get into what we're discussing today? Because we have 3 episodes we have to talk about.
Yeah, let's just get rolling here. So yeah, we are back on our comparing Destination Fear to Project Fear type shit. And
Type shit.
this week's episode of Fear Babes is Joliet Prison.
Joliet. What an interesting location.
Very interesting.
It's of course, as we get further into discussing everything, just the fact like the energy was just so high at this location. Um like spiritual energy, I mean,
Yeah.
residual, dare I say. It was just a very fascinating 3 episodes, and the similarities between Destination Fear at Joliet
Yeah.
and Project Fear at Joliet, it seemed very consistent and on point,
That's what I
even
was gonna say.
years later. It's just so fascinating.
The parallels between the two different times they went to Joliet.
Yeah.
I was like, wow, okay.
It's interesting for sure,
But
right?
I will say it is. I will say also, because I have to, I feel like it's my duty to. Um bestowed by me. I was watching the Joliet Project Fear episodes last night for this,
Mhm.
and Joliet was like the third location Project Fear went to, right? If I'm not mistaken. As Project Fear.
I think it was the 4th because we're going in order based off the return to
I I think
terror.
we
Is
only
it?
did Sweet Springs and
Maybe it is the 3rd
Old
then.
Hospital and College Hill so far. Yeah.
See, it's been so long since we did the
I
last
know.
one.
Well, and that too, but they also split it like the Project Fear episodes are in two episodes, so it's like this is like episode 5, but it's only the third location type of thing.
Exactly. Yeah.
And so I was like, I kind of miss the old Project Fear.
And that's something I wanted to talk about. One of the things that could potentially be controversial, but I feel like viewers of Destination Fear to early Project Fear could probably agree with that statement
Yeah.
because there was just something like there was one thing that I had noticed that between like the UK episodes and this episode at Joliet was they discussed obviously like I understand that they had been to Joliet before, so they had more to talk about, to discuss, prior to the location. But they were talking about how nervous they were, how like Tanner was discussing why he chose Joliet. He was like it was a redemption for himself because
Right.
he had such a bad experience when he was a part of Destination Fear. And so, like, I miss that conversation that they have prior to a location
Yeah.
rather than just going straight from like travel to packet read,
Yeah.
you know? That was
Well,
just one observation I made.
I was
Um,
gonna say too, it's like the Project Fear in the beginning was very reminiscent of when they were on TV, like the
yep.
editing style, the structure of their videos, all of that. And
Yeah.
like again, it's weird. It's a weird thing to talk about because I get wanting to grow and become better, but at the same time, like I don't know, it feels different. It feel like the old Project Fear, like how that structure, whatever they've changed, it just felt authentic. Like we're with them, and I don't know, like I don't know how to say it.
Yeah, but I know exactly what you mean. Like, and to elaborate a little further on what I was saying is that it just kind of like being able to be in the car with them, having these like intimate discussions
Yeah.
is what added to, the fear aspect. There was a lot of things that added to the fear aspect that I feel like they have drifted away from, unfortunately. So we'll get into that. But I totally agree with your statement, and I feel like there are a lot of fans who agree with that as well.
Yeah. It's just I want them I don't know. I want them to go back to being Project Fear, as in like I don't know how to explain it, but just stop trying to be like every other paranormal YouTube creator and
Yeah.
just be
A-
yourselves
And
type of thing.
like I will say this too is that yes, like I understand it's a hard business to be successful on YouTube. I know that when Kalani came on, like we had talked about the D word in headers, if I'm not mistaken, like in titles and stuff. And I was like, you just gotta be clickbaity to get your coin. But you can be clickbaity, but also like yourself as
Yeah.
well. It seems like they've drifted away from that genuine, true to them kind of thing.
Yeah, it's a lot like we're trying to be like everybody else on YouTube. And I don't again, I like are we asking too much?
No.
It's like maybe I don't know. We don't know the logistics of how it is to be successful on YouTube, so
Yeah.
maybe they're doing it to, you know, sounds bad, but get the views like you're saying just so
Yeah.
they can keep going to make money and continue to do this. But
But
if you bring back I mean lots of people are disappointed in these things and you want to keep the original fan base, you
yeah,
know?
I was about to say as well is that like the reason that so many of Project Fear's fans even started watching them is because they were different.
Yeah.
When you become like everyone else, it's hard to distinguish like what makes your content stand out from others. Yes, you
Yeah.
have incredible editing. Yes, you have incredible camera work. Yes, you guys are funny. Like they have like the perfect mixture, and that perfect mixture worked for years.
Yeah.
And wanting to grow, at least from like a standpoint of which I've noticed, like trending wise, is that if something works and it's worked forever, why change it?
Yeah.
Like, yes, if you want to grow, you need to change things. Like for us, we're trying to find our niche.
Yep.
We're trying to find what what works for us. What's going to make us successful. We love Project Fear, we love Destination Fear. That's what started it. That's why we've been trying all these different things as well because we're trying to find our niche. We're trying to find what sticks, what works for us. They had something that worked for them, and now that it no longer is working, hold on, Burgundy is hold on. Okay.
I was like, it's so hard to hold a conversation when you keep getting kicked the fuck out.
I
Um,
know. But what I was saying was is that like fuck. What was I saying?
we're trying to find our niche. We're trying to find what works.
We're trying to find our niche, but we haven't found something that works yet. So, but in comparison to Project Fear, like they found something that worked. They had their main success on Destination Fear. They had a lot of people like backing them, supporting them on this YouTube journey. So why change what was already working?
Yeah.
Of course, they're starting to individually move forward with other projects aside from Project Fear. They're not obviously forgetting Project Fear, but it's just one of those things where here's our advice to you. It may be just a grain of salt in the ocean to everything else because we don't know the logistics, we don't know the money that's being made, we don't know X, X, and X, right?
Exactly.
But at the same time, that is my advice to you because of everything that I have seen recently of people just being disappointed in how much it's changed. So it was very interesting in going from a UK episode last week
Back to
to
Joliet.
Joliet this
Yeah.
week.
Wild.
There was just a big jump and a change for some reason. Like, I do feel as though they were more vulnerable. They were doing less for the shock factor.
Yeah.
It seems like for the UK episodes, there was a lot that they were doing that I did not agree with. And it was all for the shock factor. It's all for the clickbait, and I get it. But like it just seems like some things are being taken too far and people don't like to watch that. They
Yeah.
don't want to watch people that they care about be put in positions that they should never have to be put in.
Yeah.
All for the sake of what? Making money?
Yeah. I
I
don't
don't
know.
know.
It's weird too because it's like, I think they are becoming more seasoned as investigators, so that might be part of it because how terrified they were to go back to Joliet didn't seem in the UK videos like anybody was that scared with anything they were doing, which isn't like I'm not saying it's a bad thing. It's again, they're just getting stronger, I guess, if you will.
Yeah.
Their fear is perhaps, it takes a lot more to get them like scared for real. Um,
Which is an excellent point because, like, an observation, which once we get into like reviewing the destination fear portion, after we say these things, one of the things that I had observed was that they seemed to like over every little thing
mhm.
they would call each other.
Yeah.
Like it'd be like one thing that Alex had done in Destination Fear, which you guys, when they went to Joliet in Destination Fear, it was season 2, episode 10.
11.
So really?
Yeah.
Okay, 11, episode 11.
I,
So early
I
on.
I like wrote it down and then I double checked it as I was watching it.
So it
Or
was
that's what
episode
Philo said is anyways, is season 2, episode 11.
oh, okay. I must have misread it. Oh, it doesn't matter though because it's still within season 2.
Yeah.
And
Exactly.
so it like they were still amateurs, right? Like I don't consider them amateurs anymore. They've been doing this for a long time. So maybe amateurs to in comparison to perhaps other investigators, but I personally don't consider them amateurs because they do this for a living now. Um However, one thing that I found was interesting was, when they slept alone for their portion or whatever, they Alex had heard some sort of sound at the end of the hallway, and his first instinct was to call Tanner, I believe.
Yeah.
I think that's right. I don't know. Because I'm just going based off memory. Yep, I found it. After he heard a slam in his location, he immediately tried to walkie Tanner. I feel like in the beginning they would call each other for every little thing and they don't do that much anymore. So
Yeah.
it's just like I totally get what you're saying. Like I do think that maybe it does take more to, you know,
Rattle them.
yeah, which would make a lot of sense. But also there are some things that I feel are still a little bit too extreme.
Right. But like even though like consider this, so Destination Fear season 2, Joliet, Project Fear, Joliet would technically be season 5 if they were still on TV,
Right.
you know? Like that's at least 2 years in between and they were still pretty freaked out going to Joliet
Yep.
even that far into their journey with all of this.
Yep.
And so and Joliet, Project Fear, like they've been only doing Project Fear for under 2 years now. So
Yeah.
just
So,
interesting.
like that's why we like having discussions like these is that like unfortunately, like, if you think that we're going to be the people that are always on your side, we're going to support you. We're going to be there for you, but we're also going to be the people that say, "Hey, listen. Like maybe you're doing too much
Yeah.
and just kind of take a step back because what you were doing was working just fine." And these earlier episodes of Project Fear are just I feel like they were like it was so much easier to watch this episode.
Oh yeah.
Um or these 2 episodes of Project Fear at Joliet. It was just in comparison. It's so interesting, isn't it?
It is very interesting.
And like I'm definitely trying not to be a dick about it
Same.
because that's the last thing I want to do because, like we've talked to each of them individually on the podcast. They are genuine people. They like I can say that for a fact in comparison to other people I've met.
Yeah.
For sure, they're definitely genuine and they always, you know, they have how should I put this?
It's basically like this, right? Um, we're saying these things because we do support you and we do love you and we do care for you.
Yeah.
That's why. It's not to be a dick, but it's like if we have the chance to let you know how people who've been here the whole time feel about some of these things, then we might as well take the chance.
Right. And like obviously we don't know how consistently they listen anymore. Um because like time flies, man. Things happen, life happens. So we don't know how consistently they listen anymore, but if there's a time for them to listen, it would be now.
Yeah.
And if they are still consistently listening, I know that Dakota and Tanner always were. This is just one of those things where it's like, hey, we're here for you, but like,
We'll continue to be here for you, but like
there was something else I was going to say, but I forgot where I was going with it because
okay, it's
it
fine.
seems as though like I'm trying to be like super delicate with the situation. But oh, I know what it was. These last couple episodes have like if they do consistently listen, these last couple episodes have probably been like a negative hit in every episode, but it's not intentional. It's just more of like we have seen what people say. Like we see things that they don't see, right? Like there are things that they aren't tagged in.
Well, that not only that too, but we have friends in the Fear Fam, friends that have been around for a long time, and we have conversations with them, and this is across the board for the most part. Like,
Yeah. There's
and it's fine. I mean, if it's like if our these are just our opinions, and if people don't agree, they don't agree,
yeah.
and if it doesn't matter, it doesn't matter. But so we have this is our podcast. We created it for this reason. So we're gonna be honest with how we feel.
Yep. Ah shit, she left again.
Bro.
That ended at a perfect time at least.
I just hope it picked it all up, to be honest with you. Like,
Me too. But on that note, shall we get into Destination Fear if you don't have anything else left to say?
yeah, no, I'm good. I don't like it. My brain's all over the place with that. So we're just gonna move on. Yeah.
I know
Ow.
not too
I just hit
much,
my
but
arm or my knuckle on the desk.
it's fine.
Karma. Just kidding.
No,
I know
it's
it
not
it
karma.
sucks because it's like it does sound like we're treading lightly, and it's because we don't want to hurt people's feelings. But at the same time, it's also kind of like you might need to hear this. Like,
Yeah. Like I've just noticed like it just seems like a lot of the original people are leaving and they're not, like they're all sure, can people get consumed with their lives? Absolutely. Definitely. That's just how it happens. But everyone, everyone, I just don't see the support. I don't see the rally of support like they used to have.
you know what it is, man?
What?
The camaraderie of it all, the
Mhm.
part of it that like felt like it kept us all together.
Mhm.
I think that's what's missing.
Yeah. Anyway,
Okay, Joliet, Destination Fear.
season 2, episode 11.
Oh, the BBs, the BB crew.
It's crazy because
It's so wild how different they all look. It's like they're the same, but they're not the same at all.
I know, like it's so strange. They all look so different.
It's
Um
wild.
so first and foremost to say Chelsea, it's her location. She picked Joliet
Yep.
and Destination Fear,
Yep.
which is crazy to think about. But she did. She went all in with this location.
She did
Um,
indeed.
I did think that it was interesting because, like, and we've said this in like the other two Destination Fear, Project Fear review episodes. Everything goes so fast. So we saw so much. Like, we saw them in the RV, then they were in Chicago, then they went to the 100-story sky deck, and
Yep.
all of that happened within like 2 minutes.
I know.
So it's like, okay, great. So that's awesome. The pit stops were such an interesting addition to Destination Fear.
They were.
Um, and
I
I'm
do kind of
glad.
miss them, but at the same time, it's like by the time they get to the location, like the Joliet episode went so fast.
Yeah,
Like it's like
yeah,
that by the time they get to the location and we get to see stuff, it's like they had a lot of activity, but also it kind of like wasn't at the same time. Do you get what I'm saying? Like
exactly,
I was like,
exactly.
oh, we got to see 20 minutes of probably everything that happened to them.
Right.
There's like one thing after another, and then it's over, and you're like, oh, all
Yeah,
right.
it's so strange because, like, I remember back when this episode premiered, right? And just the live tweeting of it all, and we would always be like at the end of every episode, we'd be like, wow, that went by so fast. Yeah, it actually does.
Yeah.
Like, it's like 40 minutes. The commercials last longer than the actual fucking show.
Yeah.
But there's so much that we didn't see. And here's an idea, something that I wish that they could do. Of course, I don't know. I don't think they could use footage because, Travel Channel owns it, even though they're in it. Obviously, that's their footage, their property, Travel Channels. But I wish that they could just tell us what happened that we didn't see.
Right.
Like, go through each of Destination Fear's locations and say, okay, so, this is what you see in the episode, but this is what we didn't get to include in the episode for time purposes.
Right. Yeah.
It'd be cool.
Like a lost footage or like a behind not behind the scenes, like a bloopers reel or something, you know?
Yeah,
I always wanted a bloopers reel from Destination Fear.
I know.
It
It
wouldn't
would be
really
so
be
cool.
bloopers, but it would be like how many other times has Dakota tripped on toilets that we didn't get to see? You know what I mean?
Yeah. And see, what's funny is that, like, he edited it, so between him and Connor,
Yeah.
there could have been so many more, so many more.
Right. Like somebody make a compilation video of just Dakota tripping throughout the whole history of Destination Fear and Project Fear.
That would be so funny.
That'd be great. Um,
Um,
but yeah, that brings us to the shining moment of all 3 episodes.
right?
Dakota tripped on a toilet.
Tripping on a toilet. Now, I will say, prior to that, when they were doing the guest interviews, I know I'm pretty sure I've spoken on my thoughts about guest interviews, but to elaborate from prior episodes, I just wanted to mention real quick. I feel as though having real life personal experiences, like, be disclosed and a part of an episode, that it really adds to the fear ambiance of an episode. You know what I was talking about earlier
Yeah.
about the fear ambiance?
Well, I'm curious too. So, like, I was thinking about that also when I was watching the Destination Fear episode, and I'm like, why don't they do that with Project Fear anymore? And it's like, I don't know, maybe Travel was the one who found the people for them, or
Mhm.
perhaps these people got paid to do it. I don't know. I don't know what the answer is to why they don't do it in Project Fear, but it would be cool if they could bring it back somehow.
Right, because, like, just for an example, in this episode specifically, the crew met with that guy, his name was Rob, and it was behind Joliet Prison. They hadn't done the overnight yet. Obviously, this is before they even went into the prison. And the crew asked for advice, and Rob said, "Don't turn your backs to the bars. He gave like a little bit of insight as to what he's personally experienced.
He also said they would like Tanner, which ended up being true.
Yep, and he showed that he had gotten scratched. It just amplifies the fear before they go in.
Yeah.
You know, and that's the whole point, is to have like this amplified fear, and hopefully like that triggers some sort of paranormal reaction.
It's a tricky thing to like it's a tricky situation because on one hand, you kind of want them to walk in a little bit on the blind side so they
Right.
don't form a bias, right?
Right.
Um, but on the other hand, with if they go in with this knowledge, like Tanner went in there with the knowledge of, oh, that guy said these ghosts are gonna like me, they're probably gonna like me.
Yep.
And so it just like adds to that like extra freaked out factor.
Yeah. It really does just I don't know. I just feel like it just adds something to the location rather than just experiences on paper. Like the experiences on paper are interesting to read, of course, but hearing it from the person who experienced it, it adds like this personal aspect.
Dude, I just came up with an idea that one of them should try
Ooh.
for the future. So if any of you still do listen, somebody message me and I'll share my idea with you.
Do I get to
Anyways,
know?
I can tell you. We're gonna have to cut it out. Hold on, I'm gonna write it down though.
Okay. Okay. Okay.
Let me
You can
write
tell
it.
me
Okay.
after.
Okay. Yeah, keep on your thought and I'll write it in my notes really fast while you're still talking.
But yeah, in a nutshell, like what you said, there has to be a valid reason. I'm just curious as to what that is. So if they ever come back on the podcast, like now that I feel like we've done this for a while, I feel like we've grown in like thinking of questions that are outside the box, right? I think that we've always done good like as amateurs asking questions, but that is definitely one question I have for them if they ever get to come back on. Any of them. I don't care who. I don't care, like, just whoever. I would love to know, why do you guys not do interviews anymore? What was the like there's got to be a valid reason for it,
Yeah,
perhaps. Or maybe there's
something.
not. Maybe they
Really.
thought that that was too TV-esque, you know?
Yeah. So let's talk about comparative evidence, shall we? So the one thing that stood out to me the most was the flashlights
I know.
draining because it happened in Destination Fear and Project Fear. And in Project Fear, it happened multiple times. And it might have in Destination Fear too, and we just didn't get to see it all. But like
Right.
Chelsea's flashlight, her and Dakota were standing in, I forgot whatever cell block they were standing in. And she was like trying to look down the hallway and her flashlight was dying. And then Dakota like showed us his for comparison. And then it happened again in Project Fear. I think Alex is first, right? Alex and Chelsea maybe? And one of them died, and then Tanner's also drained. Yeah, Tanner's flashlight died. Him and Dak, they had the REM pod. They were standing in the hospital, and the REM pod, they were using the REM pod, and they heard a noise behind them, so they tried to like look with the flashlight, and then Tanner's flashlight started dying.
Think
Kelsey's flashlight died prior to that too.
and not just that, but like their walkies also did not work again.
Yeah, that was wild.
Yeah, that is just and another thing too is that, in Destination Fear, Tanner and Alex were in the hospital and they caught that photo with the black mass.
Yep.
And in Project Fear, Alex and Chelsea caught a figure.
You know what though?
What?
So Dakota and Tanner tried to catch a photo and they got nothing.
Right.
But then Alex and Chelsea did. So in Destination Fear, it was Alex and Tanner. And so again, back to our theory from our other previous episodes,
Mhm.
it's Alex.
See, that's what I had a passing thought of that last night. I was like, it's very interesting that Alex is the common denominator.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I just realized that as you were saying that. I was like, hold on a second. It was Al who was there both times.
Yeah.
So Here's the other thing about this photo, though, that I noticed last night watching this again for whatever time I've watched, however many times I've watched the Project for Juliet episodes. I actually just noticed this for the first time last night with that photo that they caught because they flipped it over and it kind of looks like an alien head if you look at it really closely or whatever.
Mm-hmm.
But before they flipped it over, I was staring at it on the TV and I was like, you know what it looks like to me before they flipped it over?
What?
And it kind of looked like a guy was like on the far right hand side of the image. It looks like a dude is standing there just glaring. It's like a face glaring at you, like a guy's face. And almost, I don't know why the word vampire came to mind because it's obviously deformed because it looks like it's forming or something, but
Yeah.
it was almost vampire-esque. But I just think maybe an inmate that was glaring and it was just the way it was forming is why it looked so weird for that capture.
You want to know what's funny though?
What?
And this is what I had texted you about last night that I felt maybe a little controversial. A year ago, I don't remember what I had said or what I had seen.
Uh-huh.
But this time, I'm not sure if I see really anything, but I could see why you would see something.
Uh-huh.
You know those images that you see online sometimes where they're like, if you see this, blah, 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 or if you see that, blah, blah, blah. Like the human eye can see different things based off who's viewing it, right?
Yeah.
And I thought about your theory that you had talked about. I think it was last week. I can't remember. Everything seems to jumble together. But you were saying that you're more susceptible to things if you're looking for it.
Yeah.
And so I wasn't thinking about it at all. So when I was looking at the image last night, I was like, it could potentially be a face. But when they were like discussing like the intricate details of it, I couldn't see it. I think that what you had said, the theory of it all,
Yeah.
is true. Like if you're looking for something, you'll find it.
Right.
So I think that that's interesting that like in my rewatch because I definitely haven't seen the Joliet episodes. I don't think at least in a year when it came out. So maybe a year and a half.
Right.
And I don't see the same thing as I probably did before.
Well, that goes back to everything we are talking about in the beginning though. Like we've been watching these for so long that we've become more seasoned and it was like I don't know. This is gonna sound bad the way I'm gonna say it, but I don't know how else to say it. But it's like we believed in Project Fear so hard and the evidence that they were capturing so hard that we were like, we do see what you're seeing. You know what I mean?
Right.
And now it's like, well, actually, you know,
Yeah. Yeah.
do you get
Now
what I'm
that we
saying?
like we see things like this a lot, like in
Yeah,
the paranormal TV, like and in our own personal like things that we have captured, like what you have captured recently, like I can see that very distinctly. I feel like there's no denying like the image that you had shown me when you went to like on those ghost tours in
yeah,
Wyoming.
yeah,
But this time I just really, and I'm not, this is not me like denying what anyone is saying because I believe that if you think you see something, like obviously there's something there. I just can't see
well,
like the
again,
intricate details. You know what I'm saying?
yeah, again, we've said this in past Fear Babes episodes before. Like, who am I to negate your experience?
Right.
I'm not going to tell you you did or did not experience what you think you experienced because I didn't
Right.
experience it the way you did. We're different people.
Exactly. And to elaborate on that further, later on in the Project Fear episode, after they took that image and they Chelsea and Alex analyzed it, Chelsea ends up going into the hospital for her sleeping arrangement and she's handcuffed.
Yeah,
What's new, you know? At
yeah,
least Tanner showed some sort of remorse, you know what I'm saying? But she received the word demon on the ovulus.
yeah,
And so, of course, like they received that word. So that kind of justifies in their minds, I believe, what they saw because her and Alex had come to the conclusion that it was something otherworldly. Alex even used the exact quote that the image looked demonic almost.
Right.
So I personally like feel as though that was jumping the gun a little bit, but I also can't determine like if they felt that in that moment. I think that this is something that we definitely talked about when we reviewed the episode originally over a year and a half ago, was that like we just can't say that that's not it. That's not a
Right.
demon.
Right.
Like you were there, you experienced like the feelings, you felt the energy, you got that word on the ovulus. I can't be the one to tell you that that's wrong.
Right.
And I think that that is something that unfortunately, like I know that you have seen debunkers on YouTube, they go crazy on Project Fear saying all these negative things. And to some extent, I get it. But also, it's like, you weren't there though.
Yeah.
If you're a paranormal debunker, you should at least have the common sense to say, I wasn't there. But I don't think that this, in my personal opinion, I don't think that this is true. But they experienced this, this, and this.
Right. It's like you weren't physically there. You didn't physically feel the same vibes they were
Right.
feeling, you know.
Exactly. And like all these paranormal investigators that we've talked to, they have all like across the board said that they like to use their body the most in paranormal investigations.
Yeah.
That's their favorite piece of equipment is just their body. So, going into a location how entities can affect you. When we were at Penhurst, you, me, and Jamie were all affected
Yep.
almost identically.
Yep.
We all were lightheaded. We all got headaches. We all felt like this
Body is going to
nauseating.
tell you if something's off. Yeah.
Yeah. And so, like, we could say that that within itself, like, across the board between me, you, and Jamie, like, we could have been like, yo, something negative is here. It's draining our energy. It's draining how we're feeling. Like it's making us feel these negative things. Or maybe it's a spirit that encountered all these bad things here in Penhurst. I mean, people were chained to beds.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like in my personal opinion, I don't think that that's what that was. Do I think that it could have potentially been something otherworldly that's beyond just like a human dead person? Possibly, I wouldn't jump the gun and say it was the D word immediately, but I wasn't there. And
Yeah.
that's just to sum that all up. I wasn't
Yeah.
there.
Well, then the point of all of it is they're sharing their experience with us. So if that's what they truly thought was happening, that's why they're going to say these things. But
Exactly.
can you look at your phone? I sent you, I like circled what I was looking at where I think I see it like a guy's face, and I sent it to you. And it's just like forming still or whatever, So I feel like I can see a hairline and like the ear and like his nose for sure. Possibly some like eye area, but I'm curious if you see it.
I don't see it as well as I would hope. But you know what, though, dude? Is that you bringing up it's still forming? I agree with that. So I think that the mass as a whole was still forming, and that wasn't it in its final form.
Right.
So, like, that's another thing, too, that I feel like that's a fair observation.
Yeah. That's the thing is like it's like one of those those therapist pictures and it's like what do you see, a butterfly or a demon? Like
Yeah. It's like, I don't see either. What's
oh my
that mean?
gosh, is that the real problem? Do we need to talk about your traumas,
Probably.
Alex? No, I'm just kidding.
Alex, sit down.
It's like
Tell us about what makes you sad.
if you see a butterfly, you had a good childhood, but if you see a demon, you had a bad childhood. No. One of those types of situations. Okay, it's not funny, but it's kind of funny. But
It is
yeah,
funny. It's hilarious.
I think the lights flashing in Destination Fear was interesting.
It was very interesting. I was going to bring that up, but something else that stayed consistent that was that it's not evidence wise, but something that has stayed consistent between Destination Fear and Project Fear that irritates the shit out of
Oh
me,
no.
and that we have talked about on here before, is them laying their cots in the middle of the hallway. Why would you do that? See, me personally, I like to have my back to something, right?
Yeah.
I don't want, and maybe they do it because they can look both ways
Yeah,
easier,
no thanks. No thanks.
but you can also put your cot to the wall and look both ways. Just saying.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know what I would do. I don't
Um,
know.
I,
I'd
I,
just leave.
yeah, yeah, yeah. We know what we would do. We'd be out of that bitch.
Yeah.
Leave
The
it
other
to
thing
you.
that was kind of consistent was there's a lot of like additional noises happening in this building.
Yeah,
Like both times, Destination Fear and Project Fear.
yeah.
Um,
That definitely was consistent across the board.
yeah. I did forget about how like in Project Fear specifically, like when Tanner was communicating via Maglite,
Yes,
that was wild. I was like, I forgot, but it was like such direct response, and it like remembers him, and I'm like, ugh, how nerve wracking.
I was actually going to bring that up. So, like with the Maglite and, the spirit box, we're getting to see like this new equipment being used. Of course, they disclosed, as we stated in the first episode that we did this review, which was Sweet Springs, that they weren't able to use the spirit box because of Zach Bagans. Thank you, Zach Bagans. You ruined fucking everything for everybody. Um
Kevin Spacey.
yeah, so you're a goat in the paranormal, but if you're truly out here for the paranormal, why are you preventing other investigators from using equipment? That's all I have to say about that. But it was interesting that, like I feel as though in Destination Fear they were limited to only a handful of equipment, right? And so in Project Fear, they're able to test the mag light, the spirit box. They now have added the brand new thing that they just introduced.
Yeah, uh-huh. Oh, it's such a weird name. Hold on.
I want to call it Evian, but it's not that. That's water.
Is it Evlon?
It's something with an E, right?
I don't know. I know what you're talking about. I'm trying to find the name of it or whatever.
Well, they're able to test this new equipment. They're able to I feel like it's a doorway to welcoming more paranormal evidence. Like, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
yes, the Ovulus has always been a favorite of ours personally.
I love the
Um,
Oculus. I don't know why. I don't even know why. I just
it's just
love it.
cool.
Yeah.
It's cool. The digital recorder, of course, is a goat because it literally captures these EVPs that are so chilling. And it's just a recorder, you know what I'm saying? So, like, yes, those pieces of equipment
Oh my
are
god, we're so stupid.
what's it called? What's it
But
called?
I know why we thought it started with an E. It's the Envoy.
Okay, okay. So it's the Envoy.
Yeah.
Yes. So all of that to say is that it just allows more room for evidence to be caught. And, of course, with them doing over 2+ hours of content in Project Fear, like we get to see more. So, again, going back to what we said earlier, perhaps they did catch more, but they only put the
The best of the
highlights.
best. Yeah.
Yeah, we may never know. Who knows?
Only Travel Channel knows.
Only Travel Channel. I did want to mention, evidence wise as well, between Destination Fear and Project Fear, that while Tanner and Dakota were asking questions, this is in the first episode of the Project Fear episode, they were asking questions with the PS device. Like Tanner was up on the whatever floor, second or
Yeah.
third,
Yeah.
and Dakota was down at the bottom, but they could still hear each other. And that was in North Seg. They got chest, near death, and memory.
Yeah.
And in Destination Fear, of course, Tanner described that he felt like he almost died. He was having heart palpitations. He almost passed out. So, like, that was consistent. I found that incredibly interesting that whatever was there remembered him from before.
Yeah. It was super wild.
Super interesting.
And the way it was able to pull out like exactly what happened.
Yeah. It's also interesting, like, going back to the packet read. I know it seems like we're jumping everywhere, but I
Don't blame
promise we have good points. In comparison to, like, Destination Fear, we're hearing more about the location's history in Project Fear, which I believe I've mentioned before on one of our other review episodes, but like we never learned about the fecal infused milkshakes
Yeah,
in Destination Fear, which they could have told them, hey, you can't have that because people will be disgusted
could be.
because they were very particular about stuff like that.
Or it's just new information that's come about in the last couple years.
Exactly. So it's just very intriguing as a whole. And we also get to hear like more about like, the dark history, and Destination Fear only provided a general like surface level amount of information to get the point across, but like we're really understanding why the location is the way that it is even still today, like all that residual energy. It makes a lot of sense, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
But to go even further, like with the packet read and stuff, the general like consensus of experiences, like for instance, in North Seg, it's considered the most haunted and spirits don't like for their space to be invaded. All of that was said in the packet read, and Tanner had a bad experience, etc., etc. Like the things that we're seeing being read in those packet reads did truly happen to them.
Yeah.
So I thought that was fascinating as well.
You know what else is interesting?
What?
The way that fate decided that Chelsea ends up in the same exact spot.
I know, which is so odd.
Like, oh, what?
Like,
The
why?
heck? Every time stuff like that happens, I'm just like, there's, things are more connected in this world than people realize.
Yeah. Oh, definitely. Didn't they all sleep in the same location as well? Because in
Because Tanner was like,
Destination.
I have to go back to North Seg, which was very
Yeah.
bold. That was a
It,
very BDT thing to do.
oh, yeah, for sure. But he did say he wanted to go back for his own personal redemption.
No, you're right. Alex was West Cell Block both times, and Dakota was East Cell Blocks both times. So in both episodes, they all slept in the same
Same.
exact location
Yeah.
in Project Fear that they were in Destination Fear, which is very, very interesting to me.
We didn't miss anything with that, did we?
What do you mean?
Like, did Tanner tell them to do that, or did they draw?
No, Tanner. So Twitter picked Chelsea's.
Right.
Tanner picked his own, and then he had Alex and Dak draw.
See, now that's even more
That's what I'm
interesting. Okay.
saying, dude. I'm like,
Okay.
how intriguing that Joliet would send everybody back to the same exact spot.
Exactly. I just wanted to be sure I didn't miss something because, like, you know how it is with two dogs. Like, they like to distract the fuck out of me when I'm sitting in the living room watching TV.
Yeah,
So, okay. Yeah,
I know. Actually,
that is
there was a
crazy.
good chunk of time. I'm so weird. When dogs play fight, I will watch them do it the whole time. So it's very fascinating to me. I'm like, that's so cute.
It is cute.
And it's funny how like evil they look sometimes.
I
So
know.
on that note, Annie and Diesel, when I was watching Project Fear Part 1, Annie and Dees, I always say that they reenact the Lion King, Scar and Mufasa, but they were just going hard. Like, Annie literally, like, pinned Diesel against the couch. She, like, ran and, like, body slammed him into the couch, like, to the point where the couch, like, moved a little, and I was like, damn. And I was just
Dude.
like, watching them, and I was like, for like a solid 10 minutes, they were chasing each other down the hallway, body slamming each other to the couch, like full blown, just like, wah, 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 wah. Like, and I was just like, oh, I should probably be watching this episode. What?
Literally Duchess and Jade. So, another observation in Destination Fear, the guy named Rob that they spoke with before they went into Joliet, he specifically said, don't put your back to the cells. But in Project Fear, Dakota had his back to the cells.
Oh, I know.
And he even said, I don't like having my back to the cell. It feels
Because you're
like
not
someone is
supposed
standing beside me or
to. Because
standing
you're not
behind me.
supposed to, Dakota. You're breaking the rules.
Exactly. Someone should have watched their old episode.
Yeah. Weirdo. Cheese and rice. Fucking rookie mistake. No, I'm just kidding.
Yeah, literally. That was just dumb. Like, why do you do that? But you know something? I'm going to be a dick too, one more time.
For this episode. One more
For
time
this
for this
episode.
episode.
Tell me why Dakota in the Destination Fear episode at Joliet seemed braver than Project Fear Dakota at Joliet. I don't know if Dak has just like started to show himself more or what, but he was like ultra weenified ever since Project Fear started. Tell me I'm wrong. Because in Joliet,
Ultra
they were
weenified.
when they were in Destination Fear, he was like, "I'm gonna draw my name first. I'm gonna get it over with. I'm gonna do this shit." Boom, drew the name, drew his location. He's like, "Awesome, sick." Like he was just like very brave about it. But now he's like, "I don't want to draw
You know
first.
what it is? It could be the fear of rejection now that they're all out on their own.
The fear of rejection.
Yeah, like, so because they're Project Fear now,
Yeah,
you're saying that he was more brave in Destination Fear than he was in Project Fear, right?
at least in the Joliet episode
Okay.
for sure.
So it's like the fear of, because this was the first season of Project Fear, so maybe he's like, oh, we don't have the backing of the network anymore, so like hopefully the fans like this and blah blah blah. And so he was just like really scared about the outcome of how Project Fear was gonna turn out. You know what I'm saying?
Good point. Good point.
So maybe that. I don't know. That's the only thing I could think of because
Or
nothing else would make sense.
he's just a massive weenie.
He is. There's a reason that he was given the biggest weenie award, or what? Not the biggest weenie award. That sounds bad. It was
Well,
just a weenie award, wasn't it?
yeah.
Yeah. But he is the biggest weenie of them all. So
He better have that fucking on his shelf because he deserves
I'm
that.
sure he threw it away, but
Oh,
whatever.
I'm sure, bitch.
It's fine.
I don't have much else to say.
Me either.
Yeah, I don't think there's really much else to say
That's pretty
because,
much it. Yep.
yeah, I mean, it just seemed like these 3 episodes were very consistent across the board.
I would like to know exactly the time frame that lapsed between the 2 times they went there, because it would be interesting to see, because the evidence, like you said, was so consistent and repetitive.
Yeah,
It's
I
like
would like to know.
X number of years later, it's still the same type of vibe. It's
Yeah.
very interesting, you know?
It is very interesting. We hope you guys enjoyed our 3-episode review.
I would like to see them go back to Joliet again, like 2 years from now,
Yeah.
to see if it still is consistent or if it's totally different.
Yeah, that would be interesting.
Does Joliet still remember Tanner? That is the real question here.
Ugh.
The spirits of Joliet.
The spirits of Joliet.
Specifically in North Segregation. Do
Tanner,
they still remember him?
you know what to do.
Yeah.
Solo to Joliet.
That's what I was gonna say. Is that where he's gonna do his solo? We should send Tanner back to Joliet.
Yeah, I think that should. Yes.
Yeah. So, with that, please like, comment, and subscribe if you want to continue to receive Fair Babes content. And we will keep trying different platforms until we find one that sticks.
Regardless, you're going to get a new episode every week from us because we love you guys and we'll make it happen. And this has truthfully been such an amazing passion project for the both of us. We've had so much fun, dipping our toes into all sorts of new endeavors and keeping true to our name, Fear Babes.
Yep.
Because we love beer and we're babes.
As long as you can't see me right now, still
We're
a babe.
babes. As long as you can see our photos that we push out when we're in full glam, we're babes.
We're just feeling confident enough to take a selfie. One of the two. I don't
One of the
always have
two.
full glam on, but that's fine.
Nope, never. Hardly ever these days.
But yeah, so I really hope everybody had a great Christmas if you celebrate Christmas, or whichever holiday you celebrate, or even if you don't. I hope you had a great week.
And we hope
Happy
you
New
had
Year.
a happy new year.
Yeah.
2025 is going to bring us new things and we're excited for the future. And
New adventures, new endeavors.
yeah, all of it. So everything, it seems as though 2025 is going to be a great year. And we hope the same for you guys.
Yeah. So love you. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
Bye, babes. Mwah! Mwah!
Mwah!